Welcome to the Browns Wire Podcast. This is your host, Josh Keatley. With me is always the great Donovan James. Donovan, this is maybe going to be your best show, my friend, because the Buckeyes hit on some highly recruited individuals late in the draft. Before we dive into and I can't wait. This show, we're diving into every single Browns prospect, every single draft pick that they've had, talk a little bit about undrafted free agency. I'm excited. We're going to break it down. We had a great draft. But Donovan, first of all, how are you doing? How was your draft weekend?
It was awesome, man. I had a really good time. Enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody that listens to all these shows and reads all the articles. Josh, we were just talking off air about what he does for Browns Wire, of course, with this show and everything and writing, and what he does with the Buckeyes Wires. Shout out to Josh Keatley. All the guests we had on, man. Mac, Alexis, Bill, Eric, everybody. City and Sports. You know, my articles over there that I barely do. But I want to thank everybody. Thank everybody for that. I mean, really, like, for real. I mean, it's fun. The interactions on Twitter, it's always fun. Yeah. It was fun weekend, man. I think that both of our girlfriends are probably tired of the drafts at this point, and my draft memes, I keep sending mine. So we can move on with our lives kind of now. I've actually before the show, I was starting on my 2022 list. So I'm kind of a draft nerd.
Me too.
People were shitting on me on my Facebook for posting 2022 thoughts. They're like, it's too soon. I'm like, it's never too soon. I want to be the first on players like Drake London out of USC. You know what I mean? Receiver there, or just watching tape or whatever. So yeah, it's fun though. I had a good time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's dude. We got. Everybody talks about this being the dead period. No, dude. We got an exciting lineup. We're gonna break down the Ohio. That's what Buckeyes were coming out. We're gonna break down the Cleveland Browns draft. Next week, we're going to break down the rest of the AFC North draft and how they compare to the Browns draft. The week after that, we should have all the undrafted free agent stuff put away. We're going to break down the undrafted free agents and then we're going to dive into throwbacks, baby. Everybody wants to give grades to these draft classes this year. No. Donovan and I are going to reach into the barrel. We're going to go back 10 years and evaluate the draft class for 2011, what the Browns did right, what the Browns did wrong. That's right. You heard it here first. In a couple weeks, we're going to do that for you guys. We have an exciting lineup of shows, dude. The draft is nothing but provide us with content. And then, if you're lucky, we're going to sprinkle in some 2022 stuff. I know Donovan said he's ready. I'm not quite there yet. I'm sure Donovan's got more research in there.
Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm just starting.
I got a couple there. The wide receiver class and the corner class, it's going to be phenomenal next year. I'm excited to break that down, talk about that. We'll get to that. We'll get to all that. But this week, we're going to talk about the Browns draft. I thought the Browns did a great job. Not one pick. And we talked about, and if you listen to Donovan's mock draft, his 7-round mock draft in Student Union Sports, if you listen to us do our rankings throughout we're very inconsistent on when we release those rankings, but if you listen to the show enough, you got a good feeling of where we had certain players placed. Not one player was reached for on my big board other than the Browns' first-round draft pick, and I'm going to excuse that once we dive in. You'll see why. But that rarely ever happens. It's been a couple years for that to happen on my board, so I'm very happy with what the Cleveland Browns did. I'm excited to talk about these contributors. Donovan, how did you feel about the Cleveland Browns draft?
Oh, man. I mean, I was just grading the drafts today and kind of listening to some of the guys I respect in the industry and look up to, man. And the Browns, I mean, they were in everybody's top 5, top 10, and they're definitely in mine. They're in my top 5 for what they did. I was highly impressed. I mean, I know PFF gave him an A+. Bucky gave him an A. He only said they reached on one pick. So, I mean, I haven't seen them lower than a B+, A. From most consensus, and I have them as A. I don't really do like a grade. I just do like who is the top. I do it in like tiers more so, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's the same way I do it.
Yeah.
But did you reach? Is this good?
Yeah. I do like I said, I hate to talk about like value all the time, but I do like a value board too, just because like I have a top 300 ranked. And the Browns were one of the. For me, there was 4 teams. They were one of 4 teams that had every player they drafted was in my top 300.
Wow. See, I don't do it that way. I only rate the top.
I'm a little different. I do a lot of analytics and kind of like numbers.
Yeah, see, I don't do it that way. I don't do it that way. You know me. I analytics is a great tool, but that's all it is for me is a tool. I only rate the top 100 guys, and then after that, I have tiers. Hey, and I kind of grade I like you. I don't really do letter grades. I more or less do. Hey, did they reach? Is this good value? is it a steal, right? And I kind of grade it based off of that. And then sometimes there's even some considerations that will go in, like, hey, there was a run on this that I didn't anticipate. This is clearly a position to need. This is why they took the next best on the. If it's the next best guy on the board, and even though I gave him a 3rd round grade and you took him in the 2nd round, I won't consider that a reach based off of what's happening to the board up to that point. But yeah, you ready to dive in? Talk about each Browns pick?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, perfect. So in the first round with the 26th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns selected Greg Newsome, cornerback from Northwestern. Donovan, how did you feel about this pick?
We have been seeing a lot of mocks, obviously, for the Browns taking Greg Newsome, so I wasn't that surprised. I mean, I don't like nitpicking people's drafts too. That's another thing I probably won't do too much, but I will say I have to kind of do it just because for the sake of argument.
Well, that's one thing that's going to set us apart from all the other shows too. Is we're not going to sit here and stroke Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns front office. We're going to try to break it down and look at it as 50-50 as possible.
We try to. I mean, like I said, I can't. There's not much I can say bad about the Browns because that's why I'm like you. And I'll talk about Greg Newsome in a second. I just want to tell people, like, I do analytics and have my value board. That is a big tool for me. But at the end of the day, like, I watched most of these players play and I watched their tape and I watched them play live. So it's like, okay, I know what players should have been, in my opinion, what round. Off their value board, I mean, they have an A+ because, like I said, every grade was like A, pretty much every pick. But Greg Newsome, I think Asante Samuel fit better to me.
Interesting.
I think Asante Samuel Jr. was a better pick there, but I like Greg Newsome a lot. He was definitely, I got a 1st round, late 1st round, early 2nd grade from him. So I mean, that was a good pick for them at the top grade, and a need. I mean, a huge need because that front is fine. Linebackers, again, we talk about they got the linebacker they needed for perfection. That was their best pick coming up. We'll talk about in round 2. But Greg Newsome's great because they got to help out Denzel Ward, top 5 corner. But sometimes, he's not going to look like if he doesn't have anybody helping him out next to him. So when they go up against Kansas City now and Buffalo and, the whatever Chargers or whatever team, I think the Chargers are going to be a really good team next year, but so I'm moving them up in that. But and Cleveland and all those, Cleveland's going to have to cover, and Greg Newsome will be able to do it. He'll probably, I mean, Greedy's coming back, but we've talked about that a lot, so we don't know.
Yeah,
but if he comes back healthy and Newsome, that's awesome. That's going to be. I mean, the Browns.
Devastating.
This is Greg Newsome's ready too. Like, he's an NFL ready guy to me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any issue with what you said. It's funny that you said, did you listen to Brad Wart's podcast, All Eyes on Cleveland, Thursday?
Was that the one you were on?
Yeah.
I listened to some of it.
Because I said the exact same thing. Greg Newsome was a good pick here. I gave him a 2nd round grade, so I was technically a reach on my board, but I only gave 3 cornerbacks a 1st round grade. So, usually I like to grade like I make love very generously, but I guess I was too harsh on my cornerbacks because I do after reflect. There's just, it's impossible. 3 corners aren't going to go in the 1st round. There's going to be more than that. And Newsome is in that next tier. So I don't think it's a reach. That was a position of need. Greg Newsome's very good, like you said. He's NFL ready. He checks every box. I have a couple notes. He's a fantastic athlete. He's a quick accelerator, and he's got good length. He's got good size. Right? You talked about Asante Samuel. I had Asante Samuel higher on my board as well. I could see why they went with Newsome instead. I would have rather had Asante Samuel because his resume is longer, it's deeper. That's the biggest problem I see with Greg Newsome is he's only got 18 starts under his belt. Right, he played in the Big Ten where the big dogs were Chris Olave, Rondale Moore, Rashad Bateman. He played 0 of those guys this past year. 0. He missed the Ohio State game. Rondale Moore was out for the Purdue game, and Northwestern didn't play Minnesota. And he's only got 18 starts under his belt. It's really hard to find games where he's playing top-notch opponents. So that's a big question mark to me. But physically, he checks all the boxes. But I'm with you. I would have rather had Asante Samuel who went with the 15th pick.
He didn't opt out.
Yeah, that's true. But he had to have. If he didn't play at all.
That was a big thing. I thought this year for me, that was a big thing, like opt-outs. Like, there were so many guys. Like, I didn't realize how many guys opt out until, like, on the ticker it was like opt out 2020. I'm like, some of these guys, what the hell were they thinking? I'm just saying, but I mean,
and if he would have opted out, he wouldn't have got drafted at all because he simply did not have the game. He didn't play enough games. But I do think it was a good pick. This is a guy that can be a star. He checks every box physically you want. I'm nitpicking him because like I said, his resume wasn't as deep as a guy like Asante Samuel. But he can come in and he can be a number one cornerback. He can be. I don't think he's going to be better than Denzel Ward, but it wouldn't be insane for him to be better than Denzel Ward. He checks every box physically. So I'm cool with this pick. I like this pick. Let's go ahead. Are you ready to move on to the second rounder?
Oh yeah, that's the best pick they made.
I think so. There's one other pick that I really liked, but the second round pick, the 52nd overall, the Cleveland Browns took Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, outside linebacker from Notre Dame. Dude, I'll let you start on this guy.
I know you. I mean, I just saw.
I'm stoked.
I guess I'm part of Browns Twitter now, technically, because I'm followed by a lot of Browns people and follow a lot of them, and that was just like it was hype. It was more hype than any other pick the Browns made, even over Greg Newsome. It was all. I mean, outside of maybe Clowney signing him, it was the best hype thing of the offseason for the Browns to get JOK. I mean, you got people shaving their heads because of JOK being picked. But no, I mean, him falling to day 2, I was like, I wonder what team would get him. What team would fit. I thought they should have picked him in the first round. So, because when you had a mock, I think one of your mocks, you had him in the first, and I was fine with that.
He seemed like a real Raiders type of pick.
He did. A lot
last
of teams,
time we talked about it.
I thought there was a couple of teams I thought it would take him, but man, I mean, for him to fall to this team, he starts day 1. This is a day 1 starter here. This is a game changer. A truly impactful. Almost said freshman rookie. I could see him being a rookie of the year candidate on defense. I think he's that good.
I don't disagree with that. I think you're right. He was a top 15 prospect for me. You know, people are like, why, if he was so good, why did he fall? You know, linebackers don't matter, yada, yada, yada. First of all, you can call him whatever you want. He is a linebacker because he's going to play in the second level. You know, that's how you classify that. But position, it's just a designation. Okay. That's the problem with analytics the analytics Twitter or guys that just read PFF and don't watch any football is that they're so stuck in these boxes, bro. You gotta be like Taco Bell. You gotta think outside the bun, bro. Okay, he's not. He's a defensive playmaker. He's a line. It's not a bad thing to be a linebacker. It's just simply not. The Browns needed it. They got it. This is a guy that's going to be great on the second level. He's athletic. He's versatile. He's a chess piece for a very creative defensive coordinator, Joe Woods. He was a first round prospect. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. He's a top 15 prospect in this class. The reason he fell is likely due to the reason what we view as versatility, someone might view as a tweener, right? So that already eliminates half the NFL teams that don't want to deal with him. That, and he is rough in traffic, right? We talk about a lot of those classic 3-down linebackers. You know, the classic linebacker don't matter kind of people like Tough Borland or those kind of prospects. Those guys really work well in trash and shedding blocks. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah doesn't really do that. He doesn't work well in the trash. He's got to be he's most effective when he's covered up. And I think that the Browns are going to do that for him. But that's likely one of the reasons why he fell. But this was the perfect pick. There was nobody higher on my board than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So I was very excited for that pick.
Yeah, I mean, so as far as like my value board, I had Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah 18 overall, and I had Greg Newsome 25. So I mean, it's like they had 2 first-round picks.
Right.
And that's where I'm getting with the value stuff. Is like, I mean, it's just domination, man. For the first 2 picks, I was like, that's home runs. That's 2
exciting.
Home runs.
That pick was exciting. He's going to come in. He's going to play. I think he's going to play right away.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play right away. Moving on to the third round, they took with the 91st pick in the NFL draft. They took Anthony Schwartz, wide receiver from Auburn. What are your thoughts on Schwartz?
So where I have Schwartz, I'll look where I had Schwartz in a second. But so I don't want to fumble through some paperwork. But getting Schwartz, man, we wanted a speedy receiver downfield for Browns, and you got Donovan People-Jones, who I like, who can definitely take the top off of defense. But getting somebody, Schwartz is the fastest player in this draft. He's top 2, 3. I mean, if there might be a couple, maybe 2 guys faster than him, but I think he's the fastest. He's got that true track speed, and they kind of didn't use him right at Auburn, and Bo Nix, struggled too. He was up and down. I mean, he had some good moments too, but he was up and down for the most part. And they had a lot of receivers, like Seth. He got drafted as well, and Eli Stowe got picked up as well. So they had a couple guys there to throw the ball too, but he was more of a 1-2 read. He would go deep, but he missed a lot of deep passes. That was kind of Bo Nix's bugaboo, and he kind of held him back. So I think this is a good pick for them. I mean, obviously that receiver room is deep. As far as need, no, that wasn't like a necessary need. But the Browns don't have that many needs. I mean, this is a team that a couple plays away from really, I think being in the Super Bowl because they're a couple plays. I mean, obviously, when Mahomes went down, and we can get into that. It's another story. But they can beat Buffalo, they can beat Kansas City with this roster they put together. Getting John Johnson and all these draft picks, and Jadeveon and Baker getting better. They can compete with anybody. So I mean, it was a little bit of a luxury pick, but I mean, at the end of the day, at least the receiver they picked is what a kind of receiver they needed. They didn't need like a Maron St. Brown, even though he's really good too, or like somebody like that. They needed somebody with some true track speed. And I know you were talking about, some speed that they needed on that team. And I think they addressed that with their last pick that we'll talk about soon, and then this pick.
Yeah, I this is not a pick I was high on. I thought this was appropriate value. I gave Schwartz a 3rd round grade. Like I said, I liked every pick they have, so I'm trying to be as objective as possible and give you the good and the bad. Schwartz, like you said, fast, and fast. Okay, that he's all about the speed. He's one of the fastest players in the class, maybe the fastest player in the class, right? So they took him. That if you're going to get a guy with that kind of speed, this is where you need to take him. Okay, so and that's why they took him, and I'm 100% comfortable with that. And he's not just a burner. He, when you talk about those deep balls, I saw someone tweet out his average depth of target. Well, there's a couple issues, right? Bo Nix really didn't have the best year, but he is really good tracking the ball. You see guys, especially in college, that are just blazers that kind of get lost and they don't really track the ball very well. If it doesn't land right in their chest as they're running down the field, they're not going to catch it. Schwartz isn't like that. I feel like he doesn't lose control. He doesn't lose the ball. So I do feel like there is potential for him to be a deep threat despite the statistics about his average depth of target. Yeah. I think that he can do that. I was more of a Seth Williams guy. I had Seth Williams higher on my board. I gave him a 2nd round grade because he is more of a complete receiver, right? He's 6'2". He's well over 200 pounds. Schwartz isn't like that. Schwartz is, I think he's 6 foot 185. He is built more like a track star than a football player. I do think that that's probably his biggest red flag. I don't know how he's going to handle the physicality of the NFL, but I'm not worried about it. Like I said, those are things that he can overcome. Those aren't things that are, hey, I know that he is going to suck at that. That's not the case here. I think that there is room to grow. He does have, like I said, he is 6 foot. It's not like he's short. He can probably hit 200 pounds. I don't think that that's an issue. He's just not currently. And I don't think he's going to lose any speed. Like I said, I was higher on Seth Williams because he was more of a complete wide receiver, but he doesn't have the speed Schwartz does. So I am 100% comfortable with this pick. I thought this was a very solid pick.
The cool thing about Schwartz, or fun thing about Schwartz, Josh, is man, like on those gadget plays that I know the Browns like to use, like they tried to do some of that last year, and this is something I listened to. Oh God, we had a guest on. I can't remember his name right now. I always forget his name. Jake Burns, is that his last name? Yeah, he was talking about it. And you were talking about it. I've heard Mac talk about it, and a couple others that they tried to do some stuff with Jarvis Landry last year, and he just can't do it.
No,
or really anyone on. I mean, he can try to do it, but having somebody like Schwartz, like. I mean, Gus Malzahn did get some things out of Schwartz just because his acceleration is the crazy part. Like, yeah,
he's a track star. He's a track star. He's got Olympic speed.
He's all SEC. Yeah, I mean, he's like all SEC track guy. He's not like a high school track star. He's running track like in the SEC. Which some of the fastest men in the country. I would say Pac-12, SEC, probably 2 fastest track teams. By conference, but he's for real. Like you can use him on a lot of different gadget plays. I want him to get some touches. There's
potential there. There's potential for him to be the total wide receiver. We keep talking about his speed, but there is potential for him to be the total package wide receiver. If you're going to take, like I said, I had wide receivers on my board that were higher than him, but if you're going to get a guy with his speed and that's the guy you wanted, that's where you need to take him. So despite having wide receivers higher on my board, this is where you had to take him if that was your guy. So I'm cool with it.
Return game too, probably put him in. Maybe.
Well, I don't know about that because he didn't do any returns in college.
Didn't do any returns?
I don't remember.
I don't.
We could look that up because I don't have that by heart. I don't remember him. He doesn't pop off the. He's not one of the prospects in my brain that was like, oh, that guy was a good returner. All right, so moving on to the 4th round with the 110th pick in the NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns selected James Hudson, offensive tackle from Cincinnati. Dude, I am pumped about this pick, and he got shit on all day the 3rd day, but I'll let you talk about him first.
Yeah, this was the only pick I did have a little bit of problem with. I thought,
shut the hell up.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. So
Son of a bitch,
as far
dude.
as the only pick on my value board that this wasn't an A for was this pick. It
How
was
is that possible? You're the recruiting guy.
no, it's funny because I liked him coming out. I know he had a couple injuries in high school, but I had him. Let's see, I had a well. What pick was he? What number pick was he?
110.
It was 110. Okay, I had him 145, so that's not that bad of a value. I mean it's negative 35.
The fact that you're not saying it's a downright steal blows my mind.
I don't.
I
Think
gotta be
it's a
honest with you.
steal. I mean, I look at him as a high top level backup.
Wow.
Which is not. I mean, they don't need him, so that's why I wasn't that mad at the pick. Like he doesn't start right now, so and I don't think he's a starter. He's a spot starter. He can come in and be a swing guy if somebody gets hurt, and that's fine. I think that's kind of all he is. So.
I'm shocked by that.
Is a lower level starter, high end backup.
I'm shocked by that. I think he's got high end starter value. I think he's got big time potential. I know that he had a shitty pro day, and that's all anybody ever wants to talk about. Stupid, and I understand. Guys have bad days. Guys have bad days. Dude. You know what I do for a living at my day job, and there are days where I can't do simple math, and I'm writing big checks. Everybody has a bad day. If you go back, this is a guy where you need to ignore. The Browns took 3 guys. I put 2 up, but they took 3 guys. We need to just throw the pro day out the window because the tape says something different. Analytics and the pro day, the combine, all these things are tools. Okay, but the biggest tool that you need is the film. And James Hudson is an elite offensive tackle. This was the best offensive tackle on the board, and there was a huge drop off after he was gone. And he was better than a lot of the guys that were taken in front of him. Brady Christensen was taken in front of him, and that was he's better than Brady Christensen. I think Josh Ball.
I like Brady better.
See,
I like Stone Forsythe too. That was on the board.
See, I disagree. James Hudson, I think he's extremely athletic. This was the guy who was a 5-star recruit. Who was recruited to Michigan. They knew he was going to play offensive tackle because he didn't have the athleticism to play defensive line. Now, I have people messaging me.
He was committed to Baylor at one point, too, early in his career.
I have people messaging me like, oh, if he wasn't athletic enough to play the defensive line, that means he's not athletic. No, that's not what that means at all. Not half of the offensive tackles in the NFL that you're looking at. Look, goddamn, Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw was recruited to Virginia Tech as a defensive tackle.
Yeah,
defensive linemen are more. They have quicker feet and they're more athletic than offensive linemen. That's just the simple fact of it. You should be looking at it as a plus that at one time he was thought of to. Hey, this guy could potentially be a badass at the defensive side of the ball. He struggled. He struggled at Michigan. Didn't see the field. He transferred to Cincinnati. Only has 1 year started under his belt, but it was it was a hell of a year. I don't think he allowed 1 sack the entire year.
I think he had one bad game versus Georgia. Other than that,
he got kicked out. He got kicked out. He was playing and he was blocking Aziz Ojulari. Who at one point we were talking about being a top 15 pick.
They have another kid, what's his name, Nolan Smith from next year's class. He was having to cover him too, or guard him too. So he had a tough game.
I believe because I know that he missed most of that game because he got kicked out. He got ejected. I was just saying, I think he only saw time against Ojulari, but I can't remember specifically. But either way, you're talking about 2 top level athletes, and he. That's it. That's the only bad game he had, and he got kicked out before he really got to put his feet in. This is a guy.
You said he got kicked out as a bad thing. I think it's kind of like the one thing I do like about his attitude. He's nasty. He's always.
He is.
I watched.
He's gonna fit. He's gonna fit with Cleveland.
Yeah, I did watch him at the opening and the All-American game out in Texas, and he's nasty. Even in the practices where you kind of. You're not supposed to go like 100% like you're sparring. Kind of, you're supposed to go like 75. He just goes 100%. So he can kind of get a little too much, I guess, aggressive. But I like it because at the NFL that works. College, you're gonna have to hold back a little bit with your talking because the referees will throw a flag.
And you can say that about. Wyatt Teller was the same way coming out of Virginia Tech, a road grader, mean, nasty, body bag people, right? That the Browns. That's what the Browns. There is something to be said for an offensive lineman that goes out there trying to put people in the goddamn dirt. And Hudson is that. And he's got a very high ceiling. He was the best player on that Cincinnati offense last year. He was the best player, bar none. And that team was a very good team. The biggest problem with Hudson and why he fell to the 4th round is because he is a late bloomer. He's a 1-year wonder, right? If he took a long time to see the field, and a lot of that there's a lot of question marks there. He didn't sniff the field at Michigan. He had eligibility issues, which may be a red flag. It's hard for me to know the impact that's going to take in the NFL. It could potentially be one. So 1 year wonders, late bloomers like that, that is a big question mark in my mind. But the pro day, the relative athletic score numbers, throw that shit out the window. This guy's got quick feet. You can suck it. This guy is athletic enough to hang in the NFL. I ain't seen one play where it don't look like he can compete feet wise. It don't look like. I can't see one. I didn't see no film. Hudson is good. He's a good goddamn tackle. I gave him a 3rd round grade, and I thought he was the best guy on the board. This was a bigger steal to me than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh wow, okay, you really do like. We're not that far off then. I mean, I gave him a mid 4th, 5th. I mean, that's a little off, but. I was looking at like Brandon Thorne. I like him. I think we're fan Bleacher Report. He gave him a 5th round grade, but he also gave him he does an upside grade too. And he said his upside grade was potential starter. He did say that.
Yeah, on the left side too.
He's
athletic.
He had him as OT 17, but he said he could easily see him as a top 5 tackle. But I kind of hate when guys. I love Brandon Thorne, so hopefully he's not listening to this. But the only thing I hate when people do that, he ranks him 17th overall, but he's he could be top 5. I'm like, well, you're kind of saving yourself from because if he ends up top 5, you're right. If he ends up 17th best,
but that's why. But that's why he's here. So it is kind of counterproductive to be like, oh, this guy's a 6th rounder, but he could be the best. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. I get what he's saying. A
lot of your 3rd rounders, that's why they're here, right? Like guys I give a 3rd round grade to, just like Anthony Schwartz, right? Like that guy, he checks so many boxes. It's like, God damn, dude, this guy's got 4.2 speed. He could be the shit. Like he really could. But this went wrong. The same thing with Hudson. He can, if you look at any scouting report before that goddamn pro day he had, they all say could be a potential left side, a starter on the left side. All of them. You can look all of them. I'm not the only idiot that thought that. A lot of them. You know what I mean? Like it's just. But again, he's got that small resume, so there's not a lot of film to work with. There's not a lot there, so I could see it. It's a boom or bust thing. So I understand where he's coming from. Like anybody that I think could be a potential number 1 guy, though, I wouldn't rate that low. That seems kind of crazy. But I totally understand why people would rank somebody that they think could be a star in the 3rd round, right?
Right.
That's kind of my cutoff. If I have you in the 3rd, if I have you below the 3rd round, I don't really have faith that you can ever be the dude. But I'll have guys that I have as, hey, this guy could be the dude in the 3rd round. You ready to move on to the next 4th round pick?
Yep.
All right, in the 4th round, 132nd pick overall, the Cleveland Browns select Tommy Togiai, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Donovan, I love when the Browns be picking Buckeyes. How do you feel about this pick?
I think we talked about this. I think you picked him on the mock draft that we had, the 7th round full one.
I did.
Sure you did.
I did. I took him around.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I took him around early.
This is a great pick here. Yeah, I would have. If I would have flipped, Tommy and Hudson personally, but I know you wouldn't. That would have been fine. If that flipped, the Browns would probably have the best draft in the world on my draft board because they would have had no negatives. But anyway, I don't want to be like the draft value guy the whole time. But
yeah, Chris.
I know, right? But anyway, no, I mean that's a great pick. Some security. He could start really, like maybe not day 1, but. I mean, he could get some reps. I mean, I always look at these guys that are getting drafted in 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever, day 3, injuries. Because these guys are going to have to come in and replace and get some reps. And they're going to have to, they get OTAs this year fully. So that's good. I mean, the draft class last year wasn't too bad without.
Do they get OTAs? I thought that the players just announced that they're going to be skipping OTAs.
I thought they were saying.
They're going to do it all virtual.
Are they doing all virtual OTAs?
I thought they were, but we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I thought I heard a coach talking about OTAs. I was listening to like Cliff Kingsbury or Sean McVay or somebody like that. But anyway, I could be wrong. But either way, I mean, this is a guy that can come in. I mean, he's obviously one of the strongest players in the draft. You got one of the fastest players in the draft, one of the nastiest players in the draft, one of the strongest players in the draft, back to back picks. So and one of the most athletic guys with JOK too. So. This is a really good pick, and it's cool seeing Ohio State guy obviously stay at home. and playing Ohio.
This is another great pick
for you to write about, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is another great pick. This is a guy I gave a second round grade to. I want to be fully honest. This is not. I had Davion Nixon higher on my board. I did. Davion Nixon ended up going much later. I think he was drafted in the 6th round. But I get why you would take Togai over Nixon. The Browns did a really good job of getting guys that could offer something rare. Tommy Togai, like you said, is the strongest guy in this draft class. He's a great anchor. He's built like a fire hydrant. He's not going to be. He's an immovable object. He's extremely strong. He's going to go in there, and he's at the very least, he's going to provide that. The problem with Tommy Togiai and why he fell to the 4th round is because he doesn't offer much as a pass rusher, and that's not because of his lack of quick feet. It's because he doesn't really have ideal length. I don't think he's even 6'2".
He's a butterball, man. Or fire, fire hydrant.
I don't think he's even 6'2". So he's not like, he doesn't have a body the Browns fans will remember from Danny Shelton. Tommy Togiai is thick all over. He's got a great attitude. Absolutely 100% pleasant human being to talk to. I'm excited for him. I think, like you said, he's got high level starter ability, potential. So I think it's a great steal. I think it's a big steal here. Like I said, I gave him a 2nd round grade.
The thing I like about this draft too, so far, all the names read, all these guys are coming to work, man. There's no character issues or these are like some of the hardest working guys in the class. Even a guy like Swartz, he's a track guy. No, he's a football player first, though.
Well,
you know what I mean. So he's
his body says different, but yeah, I know.
But he's working though. This dude is gonna put in the work, and everything I've heard about him is good as well. But yeah, and by the way, it says Michael Gelkin, NFL. No, it says NFL.com says there's OTAs and training camps this year.
Really? Okay, we'll see what happens. I thought I saw something where they were going to do it virtual. But all right, moving on to the next pick in the 5th round, 153rd pick. The Cleveland Browns select Tony Fields, 2nd outside linebacker from West Virginia. Donovan, how do you feel about Fields?
Tony Fields kind of grew on me a little late. Like in the process of the draft, not like late, like as in like, but I like this pick. This is, this is 5th round, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So this is about where I had Tony. I think I had Tony Fields a little bit higher. I think I had a 4th round grade on him, actually, like a late.
I did as well. I had a 4th round grade on him.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and by the way, I love all the I'm a Cleveland Brown tweets. Or I woke up with Cleveland Brown because he was another guy that
I know, right?
He was tweeting a lot, like dreams turn to reality. It was cool. It's just that's fun part of the process, especially like I didn't interview any of the Browns guys. I don't think in high school I saw Hudson, but it's just fun seeing these guys live out their dream. Just want to say that, but yeah, as far as him making the team, I watched this guy back in the day at Arizona. Or I remember him going to playing at Arizona, a Wildcat. Obviously they had the coaching change and everything, so he transferred to West Virginia. But he's done a good job. I like the way he can play. He's undersized a little bit, but it's a solid pick there, for them. I don't care about undersized really for this defense. I think that they just need guys that can make plays because that front, like I said, is just so good. And when you have a guy like. Hopefully Greedy healthy, Grant Delphin, all those guys. Hopefully that all works out, and then Denzel Ward, a top 5 corner, and then getting Johnson too at safety. I think that was a really big move. A lot of people, I don't think, realize how big of a move that was. So I just think this team's complete, and getting those athletic linebackers like a Tony Fields will help out a lot. That was a good pick. I saw a couple of people say that this was their worst pick.
I'm shocked by that because.
Yeah, well, it's weird because this is not. This is about where he should go. And obviously the pick we're about to talk about coming up is a controversial one too because of the injuries. But at the end of the day, Tony Fields is 2nd. He's not a 6th or 7th round guy. He's definitely not UDFA. This is
right. Yeah, I haven't seen that at all. I felt like people were pretty. The only time I saw people bitch because the guy was a linebacker. That's it. But these were people that didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Well, that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, they were like, well, they just picked another linebacker. They only needed maybe one.
Their linebackers were garbage. We need help on the 2nd level. Tony Fields provides that. The cool thing about Fields is we see a lot with the past linebackers that we drafted, cough, Mac Wilson, is that they're, boomer bust prospects. Tony Fields isn't like that. Tony Fields is not going to be a star, right? The other guys, The other guys I talked about before this, I talked about, this guy could be a potential starter, star potential. I truly believe that. With Fields, no, there's not. He's not going to be a star, but he's a consistent player. I gave him a 4th-round grade. He's a good outside linebacker. He's productive. He was a 3-year starter at Arizona. He was a starter at West Virginia. He was the star of that West Virginia defense. Now, it was a very average defense, but he was the star of that defense. He's athletic. I don't think he's that undersized. I know he said he weighed 230 on the Pat McAfee show a couple weeks ago. My problem with him is that he's maxed out. He's built like a DB. Like that's his body is maxed. It's not necessarily that he's small now. It's just that he's good. I think he's really gonna have to work hard to keep that 230 on because it does. He's
23, right? Isn't he 23?
I don't think so. Is he? Maybe.
I thought I saw he was 20 because people were talking about the age thing. I mean, I don't the only reason I don't dislike the Browns linebackers as much as just because they're so young. Like I don't think they're garbage. I think like they haven't really had
but they've had issues. They have issues.
They have. I mean, but you're looking at. I mean, I think all these guys are like under 20. Well, Malcolm Smith, obviously not Malcolm Smith, but like Mac Wilson and Sione and JK.
They're ready to They're ready to win now.
No, they are, but that's still the weak part of their team. But I'm saying like those guys are so young. I mean. Taki was a rookie last year coming out of BYU, and he wasn't like really highly touted to me. He kind of was like Tony Fields.
No, it was his second. It was his second year, wasn't it?
Second. I thought it was his.
I thought he was drafted the same.
You're probably right. You know more. Yeah,
he was drafted the same year as Mac Wilson.
You're right. He
was drafted in 2019.
So it was both their second years.
Yeah.
Jacob Phillips a rookie last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Those 3 guys. I mean, I don't ever see. I like Taki a lot, but you can probably get away with starting him. You need somebody to be like a legit linebacker. Well, they can't have a bunch of above average guys. Somebody has to. Now that I think JOK will be the guy now, though.
Yes, right. But in the 4th round, if you can get a guy that can play and be consistent in the 5th round. That's a good he's gonna be a very solid player. He may not even be a starter, but he's not going to be a liability, right? No. And he's going to be able to contribute on special teams at probably a very high level. This is a good pick. He's not a star. Yeah. There were some guys, there was a guy, Cameron McGrone was a linebacker that I saw on the board that I was like, ooh, that guy, I think that guy could go. He ended up going later to the Patriots in the same round. But Tony Fields, he's just very consistent. There's no highs and lows with him. He's just a productive dude. So I'm cool with it.
Played in the 3-3-5 defense too, man.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Absolutely. So the next 5th round pick, they took Richard LeCounte, safety from Georgia. Donovan. You have a lot of experience around Richard.
I was gonna say. I guess I interviewed one player.
There you go.
I mean, I'm happy for Richard, man. I hate that he even is in this spot because of the accident, obviously, that he got in. But, it's just life, man, and things happen. I'm just blessed for him to be alive, man, because it could have been a lot worse. Or he could have, maybe like wouldn't be able to walk again or something like that. So for him to be – now, this is kind of I've talked to people really close to that Georgia program that work at, for the beat for them. Mm-hmm. Shout out Jake Bruce. But I talked to Jake, man. He's not going to play this year probably much at all. He's not ready. He wasn't 100%.
And that's not because of skill. That's because he's hurt.
That's because he's hurt. Yeah, he's not ready yet. He kind of got pushed out there for that pro day. So some of his numbers are horrible.
Well, he had an interview recently with the Browns after being drafted. He had an interview with one of the on the Zoomy or whatever, and he said the injuries aren't that bad. I had like a bruised knee or something like that, and like a bruised this and that. But like you said, I've also heard that is not the case.
That's not the case. I don't think that's the case. I trust my people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're gonna. I'm not saying Richard Cohen's like a liar or anything. Like it's lying season. You kind of have to lie to protect yourself. But at the end of the day, like when you get out,
the Browns know. The Browns know what's going on.
Yeah, they know. When you test and Richard LeCounte pops up the screen. He's a playmaker. Now. I can say it on the podcast with you and Eric and everybody. He's a red shirt really this year. Like you're not gonna get much or anything out of him this year. He might not play at all. He's IR maybe or just a practice squad guy. But special teams and the depth at the safety position is good, and that's the guy that can make plays. First 2 years at Georgia, man.
Oh yeah.
God, yeah, I love watching him. He's fun. A little, kind of, I guess, on the shorter side. A little bit, He's a little undersized. He's kind of always been that way, even in high school. But he was still a baller and a playmaker, and just I like the way he pops up the screen. He's not special really. Like to me, he's not going to be like a starter for you. But I mean, he's a guy that can definitely make some plays when he's in the game, and especially in those packages, you have to have an extra safety. And he can play in the box too, which I like a lot. Like, not only can he get the interception and get tip balls at his kind of smaller size, he's not like a long guy, but he has good vertical. He makes plays. He's just instinctive, and he can go in the box and hit you. And again, the Browns' trend is hard-nosed, hard-working guys, and this is a guy that's worked his ass off to even be like running at the pro day, let alone like working out fully. So everyone at Georgia raves about him, dude. Like, I mean, I'm talking. They just love this guy. He was like the team leader, team captain, emotional, inspirational guy.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I heard the same thing. I do disagree with you about the special factor. I do think he can be special. I gave him a 3rd-round grade. You know, obviously knowing that with the injury issues, I think he can be a starter in the NFL. I like him. Former 5-star recruit. You know, he's leadership oozes from him. You hear nothing but positive things from people that cover Georgia, from his teammates. You know, he's going to be a good locker room addition. He's always in the right spot at the right time. I don't think his pro day was an indicator of his athleticism. I don't think he's an elite athlete, but I do think that he is a good athlete with good instincts, which makes him a great football player. I do think he is small. I don't think you're going to see much of him being in the box safety like he was at Georgia. At 5'11", 190, I think that he's pretty much maxed out. You know, maybe he might be able to hit the 200-pound range. I don't know. I think that might be even questionable for him.
Would he come in 5'11"?
I believe at his pro day he was somewhere in the range of 5'11", 190. We could someone can double check that for me because I might be wrong.
He was like 5'10", 1. He was almost the exact same size, so he's probably not gonna. That's kind of what I look at. If I'm like looking at these guys hiding away from high school and they haven't grown much, it's like they're probably not gonna just.
Yeah, he was 5'10", 196. So I think he's done. I don't think he's getting any bigger than 200, 205. He's always going to be a small player, so he ain't going to be playing in the box. But I do think that's not going to stop him for what he does and what he does well. I like him. I think you give him a redshirt year, he gets healthy. I think he can be a goddamn player. Now, with that said, the safety that really popped off the board at this time was Talanoa Hufanga. I was staring at that pick, you know, the safety from USC going, God damn, that'd be a good fit. But I understand why they went with LeCount. I think that there's probably higher upside there once he goes back 100%. Hufanga dealt with some injuries himself at USC. LeCount isn't injured.
Hufanga had a hell of a year, though, man.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he's a badass, dude. I had him way higher on my board than LeCount. But like I said, he's more if you're in the box safety. Like I said, he dealt with pretty consistent injuries. LeCount isn't injury prone. He just had one nasty injury. And it was not even playing football. Yeah. It
was off the field. I think the way he played it at Georgia sometimes can cause injuries, but like you said, he
never gotten one, right? He never had one.
He's not going to be playing the same, like you said, though. The way Kirby and those guys use him, they let him just fly around, and they let him go in the box more up there. But he's not going to be doing that in the NFL level because of his size. But I still think that's just him, though. Like, that's going to have to be like a thing where they kind of make him not fly head first and play with his hair on fire, because that's kind of how he plays.
I didn't see him playing undisciplined ball, though. It didn't look like he
not undisciplined
a whole lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I don't know. I don't foresee that being an issue. He has size limitations, so we'll see what they do with that. He's not gonna be an all around safety. I think he can be very, very, very good at what he does well. But if you make him do something he's not good at, he's going to suck at it because he just doesn't have the size. Moving on to the last pick in the 6th round, the Cleveland Browns select Demetric Felton, wide receiver out of UCLA. How are you feeling about Mr. Felton?
Oh, I loved it, man. This was where did I have Felton? Give me one. I liked Felton coming out of UCLA just because he's a gadget guy and kind of.
I gave him a 4th-round grade.
I think it was a 4th round. I'm looking at it right now. Jesus Christ, sorry. I got so many names on this board. Yeah, I had him at 128.
Yeah.
So I had him pretty high. So this is probably what, besides JOK, their 2nd best pick to me, just as far as value.
Really?
So Felton I had him as a 4th round guy. 4th, 5th round. He didn't test as well as I thought he would.
No, he
honestly.
doesn't. Very bad.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of worried me a little bit. But like watching him play at UCLA in space he's a fun player. But I mean, he's definitely he's a gadget guy. He's not. You just want to get him 6 to 8 touches, maybe at max. Like if we're being honest, like that's really what he is. He's kind of just a gadget player, but he's fun and he can make some plays and hopefully he can pop and get a couple touchdowns here and there for you. I think that's what type of player he is. Really, I'm not saying I'm like. He could be better than that, but I think that's what he is, kind of. He could be better than that.
It sounds like we're kind of on the same page. I gave him a 4th round grade as well. I don't think I gave him the same profile. I've been very, very generous with what I think that every player on here has a chance to be. There is a spark of special to every player other than Tony Fields, who I still love. But he's going to be a solid guy, nothing more, nothing less. And Demetric Felton. I don't think Demetric Felton's going to be special. I saw some people compare him to Curtis Samuel and no, he's not going to be that, and that's okay. I think he can be very solid. Again, Seth Williams was still on the board. I told you I would have taken him in the 3rd round. Apparently, I was wrong. I viewed Seth Williams as more of a better overall wide receiver. Felton, to me, though, I think that this is a steal. Like I said, he gave him a 4th round grade. You drafted him in the 6th round. I think he does for what you're looking for. He does it very well. He's not going to be a liability. He's not going to be a star. But like I said, like you said, for 10 touches a game, if that, he's going to give you what he can. His pro day numbers were bad, and so Hudson had bad pro day numbers. That I'm throwing out the window. Felton's pro day numbers didn't surprise me at all. He doesn't. He runs very similar to Braxton Miller, where in space in a phone booth he will mess you up. But as far as long speed goes, Elijah Mitchell from Louisiana Lafayette's kind of the same way. Chuba Hubbard is kind of the same way. Even Trey Sermon is kind of the same way. Where it's like, dude, if you lock me in a room with them, I ain't getting my hands on them. But if you got to run down, if it's just straight line speed, there's a lot of guys better than that. And I think Felton's kind of the same way. But the thing about Felton that makes him good, and I think that's going to make him contribute, is that he is an elite pass catcher. I don't think he's nearly as good as a running back as he is a wide receiver because he is a pure hands catcher. Shit, he probably has better hands than Schwartz, and Schwartz played wide receiver in college. Felton they were trying to make him a running back, and he's a very good pass catcher. He doesn't catch it with his chest. He gets the ball at its highest point. He's very good. He doesn't drop a lot of balls, dude. And usually with running backs, you kind of see that because they run those wheel routes and angle routes. And it's not a difficult task, but if you're not doing it consistently and not looking for it, it can be kind of rough. And he doesn't have any issues at all. He is versatile. You can play him in the slot. I don't have an issue with you playing him on the outside every now and again. You did that every now and again, and he was pretty competent at it. You can play him at running back. He ain't going to run up the middle for you. He's always going to look to bounce it out. He's not going to be good at it. But if you're doing some pitches to the outside or, you got some gadget play you want to run, you can line him up in the backfield. He's a very good route runner. Usually running backs, they keep it very simple. We talked about Kylan Hill kind of having the Mississippi State utilized him a lot. He ran 1 or 2 routes. Felton ran a pretty wide variety of route tree at UCLA. I think he can bring that. I don't think he's going to have any issue. I think you're going to see him take more snaps at wide receiver than you are running back because he is very, very effective at that. He is small. I know his pro day he was 184. At UCLA he was listed at 5'10", 200 pounds. I think he was 5'10" at his pro day too.
5'10", yeah.
Was he? Yeah. So that I don't. So I think that he is tapping out at 200. He's maxed out there. 5'10" isn't ideal for a wide receiver, but it's definitely not the smallest you've ever seen. But that's probably his biggest problem. He's small. He's not long. A lot of those wide receivers you see that are 5'10" have longer arms. He doesn't have that. He's built more like a small running back rather than a wide receiver, so that is an issue. But I think that he can be very solid. I think he can be a quality guy. I saw someone compare him to. I saw someone say, "Oh, Duke Johnson. He's not as good as Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson had, was the lead back there for a couple games, and besides injury issues, he would have been the lead back. But he could bring similar pop off the sideline. I think he's just a very solid player."
Yeah, he was number 1. He was tied for first in broken tackles and then second yards per contact. So, I mean, it's a guy, like you said, he's got some wiggle
Yeah.
as they say. Yeah, more so than like straight line speed. He's got a lot of wiggle and juke moves, and he can jump too. A couple plays where he hurdled over a couple players at UCLA.
Jalen Marshall had a similar athletic profile coming out of Ohio State too. When he ran a combine, he had a power. He was a very effective punt returner, kick returner, and then when he ran at the combine, he ran like a 4.8, and everybody was like, "What? How do you? What? Why is he so slow?" But he just was just a very smooth runner. He found a way to break tackles because he had quick feet, and he was very aware of the leverage that he had, and he was always thinking 2 steps ahead. And Felton's kind of like that. Felton's just a very effective, smooth runner. And there's a lot of guys like that in the NFL. There's a lot of guys. Not every running back runs a 4.4.
Yeah, exactly. And I got to shout out Demetri Felton because he's from my hometown of Temecula, California. So.
Oh, is that right?
951, baby. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, he went to Great Oaks High School, so one of the not as good high schools at football, but he made it. So that's
that's dope.
They got a pretty solid program over there. But yeah, I'm happy for him. He had a good year. He's behind Josh Kelly for a little bit, and Josh Kelly actually. Pretty good player. He turned out good. So.
Yes, Josh Kelly was very good at UCLA.
I mean, the way Chip Kelly used Felton, though, was smart, but, he was definitely – yeah, he was a focal point of that team. But him and DTR on that RPO, man, was kind of deadly sometimes. Like, they get that tempo going. They were fun to watch this year.
Yeah, they used him how they had to use him, but he would have been more effective. If he was at a place – his draft stock is what it is. The dude, he might have been drafted a little bit earlier if he was at a place like Ohio State where they wouldn't have to rely on him. UCLA showed his weakness a lot because they were using him as the run. They were using him as everything. He was the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Him and DTR,
he just wasn't good enough for that. He's just a very solid player, much like Tony Fields at linebacker. He's going to give you what he gives you, and he's not going to be a liability. But again, if you can get that in the 6th round, that's great. The Browns drafted a running back in North Carolina State a couple years ago, Matthew Day, was very similar. I think Felton is probably better than Days. Obviously, we hope that because Days was on the roster for, I think, half of a year. But very similar collegiate profile. He was what he was, played at NC State, was the backbone of the NC State offense. No highs, no lows, just did what he did. Felton's a little bit better than that because he's such a good receiver. But yeah, it was a very impressive draft. Immediately after the draft, the Cleveland Browns signed Marvin Wilson as an undrafted free agent. I love Marvin Wilson. I gave that guy a 2nd-round grade. I think he's a monster of a man. I know he's got some pretty upsetting medicals. We'll dive into his stuff and the undrafted free agents a little later once all that stuff gets finalized and we kind of know the cuts and all that good stuff, what they're getting paid and all that. But it's also very exciting that they're being so active so fast. But that's my biggest takeaway. It's hard to be pissed. It's hard to be pissed about this class. There's not really much to be mad about.
No, not at all. And getting somebody like Marvin Wilson,
yeah,
another big-time recruit, a guy I've definitely been around a lot in high school. That's like drafting another player, you know what I mean? Another guy, and that's the guy that can make – I know Kealdre Thomas, I think, got signed by them too, K-State. I don't know if that's a –
Yes, you're right. You're right. And then they drafted the defensive back out of Miami, Ohio, who I gave it undrafted, who's very effective at Miami, Ohio as well. So we'll dive into that stuff before it gets finalized. I don't have the entire list in front of me.
Yeah, I don't only know that I didn't know about the Miami, Ohio guy. I just knew those two, but obviously Marvin was he was a bidding war for him. You know what I mean? So they really wanted him. Yeah, a lot of the Bears. Good. The Bears tried to outbid the Browns for him, but the Browns won. So
that was the guy who people had as a 1st-round pick going into the season. Now he didn't have 1st-round tape.
No, not at all.
No. But dude, if they would have took him in the 2nd round, you wouldn't have heard me bitch at all.
I had a 3rd on him, but he's got his talent is just
he's got games where he dominates for sure.
I know, yeah, he does. I know.
Not consistent.
I've talked to a couple people that have been around him that there is some off the field like just work ethic stuff. Which
that's the issue.
That's like one of the only because I've been saying all these guys are hard workers, but Marvin, not so much. So we'll have to turn him around in that locker room. But hey, man, he's happy to go to Cleveland. I saw his tweet too. He said headed to Cleveland like his favorite athlete, LeBron. Well, LeBron's gone, so
yeah, you probably should update that.
Yeah, but I know what he meant, so that's cool. But yeah, I like Marvin. He's got it in him, that talent. He's just got to put it all together. So that's some, UDFA, but he got a pretty big contract to be $200,000.
Yeah, they're showing a lot of faith in him. I think he's going to stick around a while.
No, yeah, he will. He will.
Unless those medicals don't check out.
Yeah, he said the medicals too.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll
I wonder what his injuries are.
I have no idea. Someone told me it was a medical issue, but I don't really have any more information than that. But like I said, it was a great draft class. Next week, we'll dive into the rest of the AFC North and give our nitpicks over that. Donovan, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, man. I'm coming out. Oh, well, I don't know if this is like a sign off or like. Okay.
I mean, we've been going on for an hour. There's no other draft.
Okay.
Picks, right?
Yeah. That's fine. I didn't know. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm working on my top 10. Basically, just a draft order, like from 1 to 32. I'm not gonna give a grade A, B, C. Just 1 to 32. I think had the best draft. I'll give you a sneak peek. The Browns are in that top 5, so I should be looking out for that. Jacksonville's number 1, which I know is generic, but they did a really good job. I loved what Urban Meyer and that staff did, and they picked all 4 and 5 stars, which I found pretty funny. Urban just was like, I recruited this guy.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But I liked what they did. So I have them and Cleveland and a couple other teams. You got to wait and see what other teams have. And then, I am going to work on the 2022. I'm not doing a 2020 mock draft. I'm just going to do like my top 50 teaser of just top 50 guys right now. Or maybe top 100 if I feel like doing all that. But we'll see.
So next week, let's break down the AFC North. And the week after that, let's do our top Browns fits in the 2022 draft.
Okay, let me write that down. Top 22 fits. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll do that, and we'll mix that with a review. We'll mix that with a review of the 2011 draft. So we'll split it up 50-50.
Are we doing like a 2011 we're grading?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can grade this class all you want, but ain't none of them suited up yet. But the 2011 draft class, dude, most of those guys are out of the league.
Yeah, 2011. I got to go back and see. That's gonna be my research tonight. I don't even know who the first pick was. Was that Sam Bradford?
I think so. I thought so.
I like Sam Bradford, man. I get sad talking about
injuries got to him, bro. No, dude, that was Cam Newton.
Oh, it was Cam Newton's draft because Sam Bradford was the year before that. Then Sam Bradford and Tim Tebow.
Yeah, and the Browns took the Phil Taylor.
From Baylor?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Phil Taylor, Jabal Sheardon, Greg Little, baby.
Oh, wow.
Owen Marisic, Jordan Cameron, Buster Screen, Jason Pinkston, and Eric Hagg.
Wow. That was a good – I just pulled that draft up, though. That's a good draft.
No, it's not.
Dude, Von Miller's a
Oh, you mean overall?
Yeah, overall. Yeah.
But the Browns sucked at it.
Oh, the Browns – yeah, the Browns sucked. I'm saying overall, yeah. I mean, you got – J.J. Watt, Hall of Fame. Von Miller, Hall of Fame. Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones, probably Hall of Fame. Definitely Julio. I would put – I'm not A.J. Green, not so much. Marcel, he's good, though. Marcel Darius, Aldon Smith. Yeah, it's a pretty good draft. The quarterback was horrible, besides Cam Newton, though.
Yeah. You know what's funny? That year I had Blaine Gabbert ranked ahead of Cam Newton.
I had Blaine high. I was really high on Blaine.
Blaine Gabbert was the shit, dude.
Yeah, and he's a ladies' man, so we always like that. Me and Josh always like that.
Yeah.
I told you a story off. But, well, Andy Dalton was in that draft. I mean, he's still playing. He's not starting anymore, I guess, but he's still in the NFL. Ponder's gone. Gabbert's still there. Locker's gone.
Andy Dalton was a great pick. If you can get
Tyrod
in the second round.
Malcolm Smith.
Ponder sucked.
Malcolm Smith is starting on the Browns.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want him to start, but he is.
Shit.
Yeah, that's a
Greg McElroy.
Yeah. Great. Okay, yeah. Torrey Smith. What happened to Torrey Smith? I thought he was gonna be
He was good. He just was all speed, dude.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I was also like
he ran one route in that Ralph Friedgen offense. I think that was what it was. I think that's who was the head coach.
I thought Torrey Smith was gonna be. I was like everyone was talking about Julio and AJ Green. Watch out for Torrey Smith.
He wasn't
quite
one round.
That good. Yeah.
He was all right. He was a second rounder though. Anytime you can get, dude. There's first rounders that show less production than him. He was good.
He was good, but he was the third receiver drafted.
Well, he was. Yeah, that's good. He was all right. He was good for the Ravens. He was good. He was really.
Cobb,
He didn't last very long, and he was really, really bad for the Panthers. I don't think he even played. I think he just sat there, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2011, man. I was pretty young. I mean, I was like not even really doing draft stuff yet. I was just like watching as a casual fan. So
we're gonna dive in, bro. We're gonna dive in, dude.
That's gonna be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah. But all right, this was the Browns Wire podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Keatley16. Check out my work at Buckeyes Wire. Check out my work at Browns Wire. We are now going live on YouTube and Twitter on Sundays. The times vary from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, so keep your eye out for that. But as always, these MP3s will be released on Wednesday morning. Donovan, where can they follow you at and what you got going on?
Yeah, like I said, I got the 1 through 32 NFL draft rankings going on for this year's class. I'm going to start working on 2011 now. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, and just check me out on Twitter at Don James Sports. The name remains the same. I appreciate it. I also did not know that Mike Farrell was talking shit about Trey Smith, and Mike Farrell tweeted at me, and I got caught up in like, I thought people were talking about me. I was like, dude, why does everyone hate me? Like, what did I do? But it's because Mike Farrell like tweeted at like I used to work for Rivals. Mike Farrell's like the godfather of recruiting for them. But I didn't know.
He was talking shit about Trey Smith.
Yeah, he's like he's like never gotten along with like Tennessee fans. But he was talking shit about Trey Smith. He's like, haha, I told you he wouldn't get drafted high as you thought he would. He was like fake 5-star or whatever. I never had him as a 5-star. I'm like, dude, this dude has like, I was like, you realize he didn't get drafted because like he could die in the next like 10 years, right? Like it's not because he's not good. It's because his medicals were horrible. His medicals are like, they're not injury related. They're like actual health concerns.
No shit.
He has like what does he have? Like a regular heartbeat? Like his EKG came back bad or something.
Dude,
no. And he has like a bunch of medical. He has like I don't know, man. It's like some of his kidneys or like something like that. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like he's got medical conditions though, and like he got shitted on basically, Mike Farrell, and I was like so confused because I was like, what do I have to do with this? I love Trey Smith. That was my favorite part of the weekend for me, is getting caught up in that because I was so confused. But Trey Smith, he did go 226, which was insane. Oh, he had blood clots in his lung.
That's right.
And he does have a regular heartbeat, but he was born with that. But that's still bad. But like, I don't know. People were saying they don't know if he will like really ever play. But he went to Kansas City. I mean, that's a perfect spot for him. They're gonna take it. Whoever is the best player. I just want to say that I really felt bad for Trey Smith, man. I don't think he knew. Or I don't know. The blood clots, I hate that for him. He's a good guy, good player. But yeah.
I was just looking all that shit up. It's wild.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what happened to him. Eric is a big Trey Smith guy, and he was telling me, man, I really feel bad. I don't know if he like really how long this guy would play with the blood clot stuff, but he's had blood clots twice in his lung.
Well, we've seen guys that have had. What was it? Brian Mandeville, the tight end from like Northeastern. He was supposed to be, the first player drafted from Northeastern, and then he had they found like cancer at the combine or some shit. He never played it down. There's been issues.
I didn't know that.
Something like that. It was Brian Mandeville, I think was his name. And I don't remember it was that allegedly something was wrong there, and I don't think he ever played it down. And he was supposed to at least get drafted. But yeah, what a somber story to end the podcast with, Donovan.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. Well, I was just mainly talking about Mike Farrell, talking shit about.
Dude, send me that because I'm just trying to find it. You guys probably saw me just staring into the camera like this, but I was actually trying to find, going up and down your Twitter trying to find it.
He deleted the tweet, but
because he was getting attacked so bad.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, like I think Trey Smith like tweeted at him.
Dude, that's fucked up.
It's like, dude, like my story. Like, why you? Like, it's not like this dude was just like. You know what I mean?
It's like harsh, man.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, there's blood clots in his lung, bro. Chill.
Yeah, but he's not even worried about the draft. He just wants to live.
Mike Farrell's probably like drunk, tweeting from like somewhere.
It was pretty interesting watching so Joshua Kando got drafted like the 4th, 5th round. Oh, I remember when him and Chase Young were going. The rumor was that they were both going to Maryland, and that defensive end class, it was Jalen Phillips, Chase Young, and Joshua Kando, and it's like, dude, one of these things is not like the other, bro. It's wild. because Kendo just never. He was okay. He was very good for Florida State, but he was a guy that he just never. He ain't Chase Young. He ain't Chase Young or Jalen Phillips. I mean, even Jalen Phillips is. He's not a bust, but he didn't do shit at UCLA. You know what I mean? It wasn't until this past year at Miami when he really exploded. You know what I mean? But still, he was the dude. He was a dog. But Joshua Kando just never. He was always hurt. It's just crazy when you look at those recruiting guys, and some of them just, who you view as the top tier, and then who falls flat or falls later. But guys got a lot of talent. Yeah. It is what it is. This was the Browns Wire podcast. Oh, you had something else?
No, I was gonna say he has like 2 moves, and he's hurt all the time. So that's not a good combination. Yeah.
I know it's rough, but he was right there with Chase Young and Jalen. If there was a battle, all 3 of those guys were the number 1 defensive end in the country at one point. Actually, I don't even know if Chase Young ever actually was number 1. I think he rotated between like 2 and 3. But like I know Joshua Kando was number 1 at one point, right?
He was. He was also on that freaking team that was insane in high school. IMG. They just had like 9 players drafted from that high school team, or 7 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think he was committed to Maryland I don't know. I don't. It's so long. I know that he was committed at Maryland at one point. I thought when he was committed to Maryland, that's when he was a 5-star, because that was when I think it was Randy. No.
He was committed to Maryland, but he also transferred to IMG his last year, and then he flipped to Florida State because
But he was a 5-star when he was committed to Maryland. I just don't know if he was number 1. Yeah. But all right, we'll go ahead and end this. This was the Browns Wire podcast, and we are out.